Welcome back to another session on the Caribbean News Now. I hope that you'd like, share, and subscribe. Remember to have to like the video so the videos can be shared with as many people on the platform. YouTube incentivizes videos that are watched to the end. So please watch the video to the end and then like it. Give it a like. Just don't like it and then move on. YouTube doesn't like that. They are going to send, it gives a signal to the algorithm that the video is not interesting. So I would admonish all of you that you will watch the video to the end so that YouTube will be able to send the videos along, because we need to expose what is happening in the world. Okay. Now, this morning or this afternoon, when the video shall have reached you, my topic is Trump cuts off Venezuela war now inevitable. It seems that the Donald Trump administration has cut off all types or all forms of diplomacy with the Maduro administration. Trump no longer desires to interact diplomatically or to resolve problems through the diplomatic channels with Venezuela. So what it desires then, if it's no diplomacy, if it's zero diplomacy, then it means that war is inevitable because the United States wants what it wants. The United States has officially cut off all diplomatic channels with Venezuela, and this could be the final step before open conflict. Donald Trump's administration is doubling down on sanctions and hardline policies while pushing the Caribbean and Latin America into dangerous territory. Is Washington preparing for war? In this video, I will break down the growing US-Venezuela tensions, the geopolitical stakes for the Caribbean, and what this means for nations like Trinidad, Guyana, and Jamaica that are caught up in the middle. Well, Jamaica to a lesser extent, because even though we say that we have had oil there, nobody has yet confirmed the oil that is there. And there are people telling me, oh, go and do your research. But the fact of the matter is that, have you done your research? And can you show me verifiable evidence that there is oil and gas in Jamaica? Until that is done, I will not be able to say. So don't tell me to do my research. I always do my research, but until I have verifiable facts, I can only project. I believe that we might, but I can't verify. I cannot substantiate the claim. So I stay away from making such, what do you call it now, pronouncements and allegations. Now, let us look at a story that was carried by Reuters newspaper in the United States. US President Donald Trump has called off efforts to reach a diplomatic agreement with Venezuela and told his special envoy, Richard Grenell, to stop all outreach, a senior US official said on Monday. And by the way, Richard Grenell seems to be in total disagreement with Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State of the United States. Both of them are not on the same page. I think Grenell believes in diplomacy. He wants diplomacy, but Marco Rubio doesn't desire diplomacy. I think Marco Rubio also wants the government of Venezuela to be destroyed, because after that government has been destroyed, they have a better case to impose going into Cuba, the invasion of Cuba. I think that is the ultimate agenda too, that you get rid of the Maduro's government and then you can provide a more justifiable pretext to invade Cuba and to end that, how many years, over 60 years of embargo that the United States imposed upon the communist country of Cuba. Now, the news, which was first reported by the New York Times, follows a series of military strikes on vessels carrying drugs near Venezuela. Trump told Congress that the U.S. is engaged in a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels. By the way, he's calling drug traffickers not only terrorists, narco terrorists, but he also describes them as unlawful combatants. And that is what we heard when they went into Iraq. The United States used the same expression when they went into Iraq. Very important that we understand that. The Reuters Tariff Watch newsletter, let me just continue here. Although Trump is reportedly Considering strikes inside the South American country, the U.S. official told Reuters that the president has not yet determined whether to advance his military campaign to a second phase. Trump delivered the message to Grenell during a meeting in the Oval Office last Thursday with senior military leaders, the senior official said. Trump on Sunday told U.S. service members that U.S. strikes on vessels off the coast of Venezuela had halted the flow of drugs by sea, and the U.S. would now have to start looking about the land. No further details were released by the White House. So it means that the United States is suggesting that it has stopped because of its strike on those boats. It has stopped the drug traffickers by going on or via sea, right? So they have to now attack them on land. So it means, therefore, that it can attack the drug traffickers on land, whether it's on Trinidadian shores and land, and they can bomb, right? They can use drones and bomb people. Okay? So we have to be careful of what is going on in Venezuela and what the United States means when it suggests that it no longer is going to go through diplomatic channels, but it will, use force to get what it wants. Tensions between Washington and Caracas have intensified since Trump returned to the White House in January, with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro denying U.S. allegations that drugs were being produced in the country and claiming that the U.S. is hoping to drive him from power. Now, let us be clear here. The DEA, that's the drug, what you call it again? The DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. I think that's what it's called, right? The Drugs Enforcement Agency of the United States, and also the United Nations suggested both of these organizations, which we think are credible or should be credible organizations, they are reporting that the majority, I think they say it's up to over 90%, I would think, of the drugs going to the United States are coming from the Pacific Ocean, not from the Caribbean Sea, from the Pacific Ocean. Mexico is involved, countries like Colombia, but they go through not the Caribbean. And Venezuela is on the Caribbean coast. Okay? So it means, therefore, that maybe only 5% or less of the drugs that flow into the United States come from the Caribbean coast, of which Venezuela is a part. Okay? So the fact of the matter is that it is already disclosed to the United States that Venezuela is not the focal point of drug trafficking in the Caribbean and in Latin America. But the United States, through Marco Rubio, said that he doesn't care. He doesn't care an iota. He said, he used another word, the S word, that he does not care an S. And you know what that word stands for, what the United Nations and the DEA say. He says he doesn't care. Because as far as he is concerned, he has to kill and to get rid of all narco-terrorists. Okay, that's what he's suggesting. Now, tensions between Washington and Caracas have intensified since Trump, and we read it already. And the fact is that the Donald Trump administration has been upping that tension since his first administration. Okay? And we know that Trump has been playing he has suggested the possibility of regime change in Venezuela. Okay? And that is why he doubled Washington's reward for information leading to Maduro's arrest from $25 million to $50 million. And notice here that it's not only the Trump administration that wanted him. The Biden administration had $25 million bounty on the head of Nicolas Maduro. And Trump doubled it to $50 million, from $25 million to $50 million, where it stands right now. Okay? Now, this is serious, some serious games, and I think that we are not really taking this matter very seriously as it ought to be taken seriously. In recent times, we have found ourselves looking at what Kamala Parris-Caesar and her team or other characters are doing or not doing. But we have to look at the substance, the substantive understanding of what is really, really at play and what would be the consequences. What would be the consequences if the regime change is successful, as Trump is trying to do? Okay, so I hope that you're following the news, and I hope that you understand that war now seems to be inevitable. And if war happens, if regime change happens in Venezuela, it is going to set the Caribbean ablaze. That is what you have to understand. So please let me know what you think. Do you think that the war is going to be inevitable, as I'm thinking, or do you think that there is going to be some diplomacy and that they're just using words here and rhetoric? Trump is just trying to use psychological warfare. What do you think? Or do you think that eventually regime change will happen? Please let me know. Thank you so much for joining. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Ciao.